Vanakkam, the South Indian is here. You know, this entire argument or rather narrative about keeping the church and the state separate, we've read reams and reams on it. But in a country like ours, it is not just next to impossible, but also it's mandatory that we keep in our minds that faith, religious beliefs is extremely important to our existence. That's because it's a part of our civilization. We are just dovetailed into it. Today's story comes from Tamil Nadu. The case is about a god and the temple where he resides. It's about belief of lakhs of Hindus and has to do with Lord Dandayudapani or Murugan, as we popularly known him, his temple located in Palani in Dindigal district. This pertains to a plea from D. Senthil Kumar, who sought directions to permit Hindus alone to the Arulmilgi Palani Dandayudappa Swami temple and its sub-temple. Justice S. Srimadi of the High Court's Madurai Bench gave the judgment while hearing a plea from Senthil Kumar, who also wanted that boards be displayed to that effect in all entrances. The Madras High Court then directed the Tamil Nadu HRNC department to install boards to all Hindu temples to say that non-Hindus shall not be permitted beyond the Kodimaram, that is the flagpole. Kodimaram is the Tamil word for the flagpole we see in many temples just in front, rather it's quite a distance away from the sanctum sanctorum or the Garbhagriha. So, beyond the Kodimaram area in the respective shrines, the court also added and said that Hindus also have fundamental right to profess and practice their religion. The respondents in this case, Tamil Nadu government, the Commissioner, Hindu Religious and Charitable Endowments Department and the Executive Officer of the Palani Temple. The court admitted the petition and directed the respondents to install boards indicating non-Hindus are not allowed inside temple after Kodimaram in the entrance of the temples near the flagpole and also at prominent places in the shrine. The court ruled, and I quote the Honorable Court here, said the respondents are directed not to allow the non-Hindus who do not believe in Hindu religion. If any non-Hindu claims to visit a particular deity in the temple, then the respondent shall obtain undertaking from the said non-Hindu that he is having faith in the deity and he would follow the customs and practices of Hindu religion and also abide by the temple customs, and on such undertaking the said non-Hindu may be allowed to visit the temple. Further, whenever such a person is allowed based on the undertaking, the same shall be entered in the register which shall be maintained by the temple. The respondent shall maintain the temple premises by strictly following the agamas, that is the temple rules, customs and practices of the temple. Meanwhile, the respondent submitted that the writ petition was filed only and only for the Palani temple and the order may be restricted to it alone, but the court differed. And you know what the court said on your screens right now. But the issue raised its larger issue and the same ought to be applicable to all Hindu temples, hence the plea of the respondents is rejected. As stated supra, these restrictions would ensure communal harmony among different religions and ensure peace in the society. Therefore, the state government, the HRNC department, the respondents and all persons who are involved in temple administration are directed to follow the directions to all Hindu temples, so not just the Palani temple, but to all the Hindu temples. The court also came down heavily on those using temple premises as picnic spots. Let me quote what it said. The temple is not a picnic spot or tourist spot. Even in Brihadishwara temple, Tanjavur, the other region people are allowed to admire and appreciate the architectural monuments of the temple, but not after Kodimaram. Likewise, people belonging to other religions have right to profess and practice their religion, but the customs and practice of their respective religion cannot be interfering with, and any interference ought to be curtailed. The temple is not a picnic spot or tourist spot. That is what the court said. While admiring the architectural monuments, the people cannot use the premises at picnic spot or tourist spot, and the temple premises ought to be maintained with reverence and as per agamas. Therefore, the rights guaranteed and the articles is not granting any right to the respondents to allow the people of other religion if they do not have any faith or belief. Moreover, the rights are guaranteed to all religions, and there cannot be any bias in applying such right. That is what the court said. The High Court also referred to certain incidents of non-Hindus allegedly entering temples. You know what it said? It was also reported that in Arulmigu Brihadishwara temple, a group of persons belonging to other religion had treated the picnic spot and had non-vegetarian food inside the temple premises. Likewise, recently on 11/1/24, a newspaper had reported that a group of persons belonging to the other religion had entered the Meenakshi Sundareswara temple in Madurai with their sacred book near the sanctum and sanctorum and attempting to do their prayers. I have read all this because you should all know all the aspects which are concerned with this particular story. It is not so simple. It is not as if non-Hindus have been barred from entering the temples. There is a bit of history there, using temples as picnic spots and allegedly eating non-vegetarian food. I mean, there is something called decorum as well, but we will find out. So, I am asking all of you, is using temples and other religious places of worship in a casual fashion not disrespect, or is it about the fundamental right to worship and visit any place of worship as enshrined under the constitution? Let us debate. This is a very important debate coming from Tamil Nadu. Sri Rangarajan Narasimhan, who is a Hindu devotee, and also our temples, our pride, our right foundation. Also Satish Kumar, who is an advocate of Madras High Court, Suresh Kochatil, political analyst and senior journalist, S. Muralidharan, also political analyst. Vanakkam to all of you. This is a kind of, when I read this in the morning, I thought to myself, my God, this is going to open a Pandora's box. Rangarajan Narasimhan sir, Swami, tell me something. What do you think of this particular order by the Madras High Court, sir?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jai Shri. Basically, the order is welcome to an extent that non-Hindus should not be allowed into the Hindu temples. The law of the land, the temples entry, Tamil Nadu Temple Entry Authorization Act, and its rules very clearly says non-Hindus are not allowed inside the temple itself. The one thing that is bothering me in this entire order is basically the statement where the non-Hindus are not allowed inside the temple beyond after Kodimaram.
Yes.
As per Agama Shastras, the entire temple is sacred, right from the external wall, all through, right up till the Garbhagriha, it is sacred. And the entire complex is called the temple, not just the Garbhagriha. So, I would probably go on appeal in the right manner known to law to see if that word can be removed and the non-Hindus cannot enter into the temple will be fixed, basically, because this is very important. Several instances have happened in the recent past where non-Hindus who don't have any faith on Hindu religion or Hindu gods, who actually insult into customs, religions and the gods and goddesses, come into the temple, do all sorts of things that they want to do and get away with it. There is no law which actually prevents this. This order to me is not complete in the sense that even if this order is put into effect, there is no way by which anybody can even check the authenticity of the person who comes in.
That was my second point, Swami. I mean, I wanted to know, Sri Narasimhan, that how do you give an undertaking? What is giving an undertaking? I am a practicing Hindu, I am also from the south, but how do I give what is this undertaking? It will be presumed by the temple authorities, considering we go to the temples very often, that she comes here very regularly, this is her husband, this is her son, but the point is that the undertaking bit is something. I will come to you. Opening comments, Satish, good to see you. Satish, tell me something. This what Ms. Rangarajan Narasimhan said, that not just the Kodimaram, ladies and gentlemen, the Kodimaram, like I said, is the flagpole. You go to any South Indian temple and you know Tamil Nadu is a land of temples, highest number of temples in my state. You see a flagpole. They said non-Hindus perhaps cannot enter it beyond that, you know, and that's what is the order right now. Satish, do you agree with what Mr. Narasimhan says, that entire temple is sacred, so why is it only till the flagpole? But I will present another case to you. In Kerala, when the RSS was practicing, you know, its exercises inside the premises of a particular temple, their contention was, this is not the temple, only the Garbhagriha is the temple, so we will do what we want to. Just for the benefit of the viewers, do weigh in on this, Satish.
Good evening, viewers. I wholeheartedly accept the view of Mr. Ragarajan Narasimhan in this matter, because even I have gone through the entire order to some extent, and though it is a slap on the face of the Tamil Nadu government as of today by seeing the order as a whole. But considering the temple from the Gopuram to Gopuram, or maybe to the walls, the outer walls of the temple, the Agama is maintained. When you take the case of Kumbhabhishekam or Samprokshanam, what we say, even the sacred water is poured on the Rajagopuram itself as per the Agama Sastra.
Right.
So if you consider that, even the Rajagopuram has got its own sanctity. Even when a person having a trust or maybe the belief on the faith on the particular religion, the person cannot enter without having a faith on the Hinduism, especially when you are entering the Rajagopuram itself. That point I accept with Mr. Ragarajan Narasimhan in this matter. And especially in this case, the Honorable Judge and the Madurai Bench has gone beyond the borders of Palani Murugan Temple, and it is to be accepted for all the temples in Tamil Nadu. And it is a surprising factor that Tamil Nadu government in its affidavit, they admit that yes, there was a board previously that non-Hindus are not allowed to enter, but they removed it.
No, but
again they
yeah,
put
sure.
the board.
Yeah, but this is where I would now like to also take another view. Although you are the advocate here, Muralidharan, does that not go against our fundamental rights which are enshrined in the Constitution? I find this to be very, very on shaky ground. Number one, non-Hindus not allowed. I know there are lots of temples in Kerala, there could be other temples as well which bar non-Hindus from entering. But what happens to that? I am the citizen of a secular republic and I can choose my choice of worship, as well as I can visit any place of worship as I deem fit. I go to Goa, I go to the church, Bomb Jesus, I go and pray at the masjid if I want to, and there are other places of worship. Do you think it goes against the basic principles premise, Muralidharan?
I see it beyond that. I see it, they have opened the Pandora's box.
Yes, they have.
Because the Dravidians are going to come back for, asking you, what about the, the oppressed or the suppressed class who've always been claiming that they're not allowed into these temples? What about them? And practical thing is, how is it really possible to check each and every person what's his religion and his faith is before he enters a temple? Now you go to a temple like, let's say, Sri Rangam, that's where Mr. Ragarajan hails, and the crowd there is unmanageable. When that's the situation, recently, there was an incident, a few devotees were beaten up by the, security people. All that thing happened. And is it practically possible? So that's one thing people need to really answer. And another thing which I'm looking at is, see, these temples, some cities like Trichy, for example, and Madurai, these are temple cities. The major income for the city comes from temple tourism. Not just people entering the temples, the transportation, the drivers, the food suppliers, the whole gamut of things. And everybody earns there. Now, what we are trying to do, we're trying to restrict and say, it's only for Hindus. Now, what's going to happen? What's going to happen in the future? Maybe for today, okay, we have enough Hindus attending these temples. But what happened in the West, if you see, all these churches went bankrupt because they're not enough patronage. Not enough patronage. And some of the churches were even sold and some of them were converted into pubs, etc. So that's how the Western world evolved. Maybe it might take some more time. But today I can tell you the younger generation, those who are in colleges, 90% of them don't even go to temples.
Yeah, hold that
Hindus,
thought.
I'm
Yeah,
talking
hold that
about.
thought, Muralidharan. I will have to
Yes.
take a break right now, and let me also add that a town that I come from, Kanchipuram, is also a temple city and depends majorly on tourism. Muralidharan is absolutely right. Everybody there is earning a living through that. Don't you think that will be impacted? We shall find out. Taking a short break, coming back, talking to Murli, and then going to Suresh Kochittil.
हमारी नारी शक्ति को सशक्त करने से ही देश सशक्त होने वाला है।
हर महीने महिलाओं को 1500 रुपए प्रति माह दिलवाया जाएगा।
What Nitish Kumar did to provide cycle to girls, so they could safely, quickly move out of the house, go to school, and quickly come back. Ching, 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 ching.
माँ अन्नपूर्णा तू ही, माँ अन्नपूर्णा है तू ही वीणा वादनी, हे शक्ति स्वरूपा जगदम्बा, हे नारी तू नारायणी।
News is now content. Just stream it. Download the world's first news OTT, News9 Plus, ahead of the curve.
The South Indian is here after that short break. This is what we are discussing. Non-Hindus can't enter Tamil Nadu temples. This is an order by the Madras High Court. I have been joined by experts, and let me now go to S. Muralidharan. Please complete. Muralidharan, you said young people, 90% of them don't even go to temples. But Muralidharan, it's not about what percentage goes. It's about a religious belief. It's about the sanctity of a place. Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree, Sudha. But my point is like the future, let's say most of these temples, I presume they'll be taken over by ASI and maintained, because I think that's what most of them are fighting for, because local governments are looting them, they're misusing the funds, etc. So if they get moved to a ASI, they as much, you might, for the Hindus, it could be a place to pray, but for rest of the others, it becomes some sort of monument. Like look at Mahabalipuram, for example. It's just one of the primary tourist spots. More than a temple, a lot of tourists visit there. Foreigners come there every day. So that's the huge income there. Similarly, your Tanjore big temple. And another thing which the ASI has done is they have got away with most of the encroachments surrounding the temple. At least these temples look beautiful. Tanjore temple and Mahabalipuram.
Let me go
only
to Suresh.
for the simple reason because of ASI.
What do you think about this entire thing? Do you think a Pandora's box has been opened? You've heard all the guests. What do you think is, about this entire order by the Madras High Court, that this far, no further, if you don't conduct yourself in a particular fashion? Suresh.
Well, I think I come from Kerala, even settled in Hyderabad. And Kerala, you've been mentioning it during the course of this particular debate, that a lot of temples in Kerala don't allow non-Hindus to enter. A classic case is Guruvayur temple. And one of the persons who sings so much about Lord Guruvayurappan is Yeshudas. But he can't enter the temple because people recognize. But I know many of my friends who are non-Hindus who have entered the temple. I know of a sister, church nun, who entered the temple because she wanted to go in. She removed her cross, kept it at the hotel, and came in. So the temple prayed and she left. Now the question is, why were those restrictions imposed? This all did not happen yesterday. In there from the time immemorial, because of the conversion factor. That the temples were targeted for conversion. And as you know rightly, Christianity came to Kerala before it went to Europe. And the earliest converts were from the higher caste of Hinduism, the Nambudris and onwards, unlike now when they start from bottom. Now, when you look at this fact, it is not just in Hindu temples, Sudha. I've been to the Ranakpur Jain temple in Rajasthan about 6 or 7 years ago with my wife. And what we saw, there was something very unique. They were issuing tickets for Hindus, for the Indians and for foreigners. But foreigners, as usual, were being charged 5 or 10 times the normal ticket fare. Once inside the temple, the foreigners were not allowed inside. They didn't say non-Hindu, they said foreigners cannot enter the temple. They were restricted to an area outside the temple, and many of them said they feel cheated. Now, the Garbhagriha, as you mentioned, is rightly important, and also the Kodimaram. And Sudha, if you know Guruvayur very well, the Kodimaram is actually outside the temple,
Yes.
technically speaking.
Yeah.
So you cannot enter. And Gyani Zail Singh and Indira Gandhi, both, when they went to Guruvayur to pray, had to stand outside the Kodimaram, before the Kodimaram, pray and leave, because technically they were recognized, one being a Sikh and other being a Parsi, despite claiming to be a Hindu family, but she's married, but then married to Virod Gandhi. So the problem is very simple. The Melpatur auditorium is just next to the Guruvayur temple main,
All right.
entrance. And rare, everybody comes and sings. Everybody does their Arangetram there. There is Tyagaraja Kirtana happening there. There's a lot of concerts that happen there. And a lot of people from other religions come there. Now, there is a trade-off between all this. And as you rightly said, there was an incident like that where somebody came with the religious books, entered the temple and tried to pray. And that is something that set off the entire controversy.
Is
Now,
is it just a
Tirupati-
bogey, I wonder, because it is more about conduct than anything else. Eating non-vegetarian food. Now, a lot of Hindus also eat non-vegetarian foods, unless you recognize someone, you know, like that very famous thing by the clothes, as to what clothes are you wearing. So, it is more about conduct, I think, here, but you bring in a new angle about conversion, Suresh.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the two temples in Kerala again, I will just go for that again. One is, of course, Shabarimala. You look at Shabarimala temple as such, and there, you know, anybody can come. Anybody can enter Shabarimala.
Right, okay.
No caste, no creed, nothing, no
Okay.
religion. In fact, they enter the Vavar mosque before they enter the main temples of Shabarimala, Sannidhana. But go to Tirupati. In Tirupati, technically, non-Hindus are not allowed.
All right,
But
okay.
you have to give an undertaking in the temple saying that you believe in Hinduism. And Y.S. Jagan, when he comes, being a practicing Christian, he signs in the register.
All right.
Saying that I believe in the
So let
concept
me,
of Hinduism.
yeah, sure. So let me, I'll just come back to you, Rangarajan Narasimhan. I want to ask you, how do you give an undertaking that you are a practicing Hindu? How do you give an, how do you give an undertaking that you will respect all the Hindu customs, that you know whatever is, what is this undertaking all about? How do you ascertain that I belong to a particular religion, sir? Because all they ask is, they look for, usually, there has to be a frisking, which is, you know, which perhaps you carry your passport. I don't know, the passport also doesn't have a religion, does it? It only has marital status. So, how do you do that, sir?
Yeah, you see, that we look at it from the other way. Even if I give an undertaking and then I go and then misbehave inside, what will you do? The
Yeah.
law doesn't have any course of action to punish these people if there is somebody who's going inside.
Yeah.
Having given an undertaking, anybody can do anything. Is it? Not possible. Like, for example, the other gentleman said in Guruvayur, recently our Prime Minister went into Guruvayur and he actually had to wear the traditional clothes that the Guruvayur permits him into, including his SPG forces.
Huh.
So, if at all somebody wants to go, then they should actually completely adhere to the Hinduism. It is not just saying that I believe in Hinduism. It is to practice Hinduism.
No, but you know,
problem is,
but
if
Mr.
there is something, for
Narasimhan,
example,
you are making it very difficult. No, you come from a temple town, which is also a great tourist spot. So do I. So do other people.
Not a
Banaras.
tourist spot.
Huh.
Never.
No,
I
wait.
never in that.
Sir,
didn't do that.
when they come, when I am taken to Srirangam, when I get off the bus, they will tell me these are the places I am taking to. Of that, there are very few museums and libraries and gardens, sir. More are temples. Our
It is
state
called
is known.
Yatra. I'm sorry.
No,
You
sir,
right
even a
for-
regular, you are wrong. Maybe you have not been to one. They take you to temples. Even in North India, they will say,
That
Chaliye.
is the problem. That is exactly the problem that I am trying to tell. Temples are not tourist spot. I differ from Murali because it is not a place for tourism. This is a place for worship. This is a place for elevating oneself spiritually.
What about architectural marvels?
That is all done for the deity, for the purpose of the religion, for the reason of the religion. Every single stone in a temple is being, when the consecration happens, is being invoked with a devata, which is in every single pillar, every single stone, every single wall, every single floor. So every single place is pious. If you have been to Srirangam and in your temple town
Yes.
also, Kanchipuram also, there are several temples. You can see Sannidhis outside the Kodimaram also, the flag post, isn't it? So what about those places? They are also sacred. There is also a Garbhagriha there. In Kanchipuram Varadaraja Swami temple, you will know that there is a Chakratarvar Samadhi right opposite the temple tank, and there is a Garbhagriha there also. So how do you say that they cannot go past beyond Kodimaram? And this is also, it is also difficult physically to check every person who is coming inside.
So how does it, but that's what I'm saying, Swami, that it's very, very difficult, and also there is a flip side of it, which is economics.
That is the reason. That is the reason the case was in the first place. The case was in the first place because there was a board which says non-Hindus are not allowed.
Right.
That board very clearly tells anybody who is not an Hindu that he is not allowed.
All right, hold your thought there, Mr. Narasimhan. I have to take a break. This is mandatory, and I'm coming right back to Mr. Rangarajan Narasimhan and also to Satish to speak more on this. But before I take a break, as the government is set to deliver its interim budget, News9 will get you all the action. A slew of policy makers, economists and market commentators shall break down complex data and decode what budget has to offer you. News9 Live's rolling coverage will be on starting tomorrow, 9 a.m.
जानना है तो देखिए, समझना है तो सुनिए, सीखना है तो पूछिए, और कमाना है तो खरीदिए। जानकारी, सलाह और निवेश सब एक ही सुपर ऐप पर। पैसे का सवाल है तो जवाब है Money9। आजादी पैसे की, अभी डाउनलोड करें।
How do you fulfill that promise? Because ultimately expectations have to be met. If you look at the political landscape, is it really changing for women? And what is the inability of the forces that dead bodies surface but not the living people?
Currently, the industry is facing a lot of challenges as far as demand is concerned. Basically, the US markets has slowed down because of high inflation.
So obviously, diamonds being a dream product, something which doesn't have a utility value or is seen as a luxury. So that obviously goes off your shopping list. That's the first item that will go off your shopping list, especially in recessionary trends.
That lab-grown diamonds are not mined, and they do away with the entire mining. So they save up on all the environmental damage that is associated with mining, and of course, the mining cost, which is why they're even more affordable.
People that is impacted by all these recessions are the artisans, are the people who work in this industry, right? But I think lab-grown diamond has allowed them to actually use their skills in the same product.
This and more streaming on world's first news OTT, News9 Plus. Download now.
A defiant performance by Ten Hag's men. Now standing at 7 feet 4 inches, Satnam Singh is making his way into professional wrestling.
We are getting more good news for India.
वर्ष 2070 तक भारत नेट जीरो का लक्ष्य हासिल करेगा।
There is certainly a wall of capital coming into the clean tech, climate tech space, not just in India but across the world.
This and more streaming on world's first news OTT, News9 Plus. Download now.
Welcome back. The South Indian is here and this is what we are discussing today. Non-Hindus cannot enter Tamil Nadu temple, says Madras High Court, and we have a panel of experts, Rangarajan Narasimhan, Hindu devotee, and from our temples, our pride, our right foundation is with us. Mr. Narasimhan, you were saying something that the temple had a board which said that non-Hindus will not be allowed, and you have to unmute, sir.
Hello. Sorry, I'm not.
Yeah, now I can hear you, sir.
Okay. Every temple had a board in front of it. The very purpose of this case is because of the removal of the board by the Hindu Religious and Charitable Endowments Department. HRS department is a department there in a temple to supervise the administration of the department and not to dictate on how the religious affairs of the temples are to be conducted. So when a temple's religious belief says that non-Hindus cannot enter, it is not for the government, not for the HRNC department, and nobody to say that we can allow. This is against Article 26 if they say. So when the board is there, any person who is not an Hindu will know, any decent person will know that he is not allowed inside the temple because it is only for Hindus, and he will refrain from getting inside. You cannot do anything about the person. The other gentleman said in Kerala that a nun entered by removing her cross, etc., etc. You can't do anything about that. Such miscreants will always do things which they want to do.
You call them miscreants, Mr. Narasimhan, or maybe devotees.
Yes,
you know, your temple in Srirangam has a kind of sanctum sanctorum for a Muslim princess, if I am not wrong.
No, she is not a Muslim. She is not anymore Muslim. This is the problem. We always think just because her name is Tuluka Nachiyar, we think she is a Muslim. She fell in love with Lord Ranganatha and she came with him, and she became one with Lord. That means she is already converted. If somebody who is interested in coming into a Hindu temple, let them convert to Hinduism and then come into the temple. Nobody is going to stop them. That is the problem. When the faith is there, when Tuluka Nachiyar entered Srirangam temple, she never went outside. Will there be anybody like that today?
Well, today, a lot of women may perhaps, Satish is nodding his head vehemently as an advocate and as someone who will only see anything from the prism of law. Satish, go ahead.
First of all, Sudha, I think you are saying that non-Hindus are not allowed. It is not so. Non-Hindus are also allowed. Please understand, the law, even the present judgment is also very, very clear. Non-Hindus are allowed subject to their faith and trust, or maybe the belief on
what
the
is
particular
belief and
Hinduism or the
trust?
temple.
No, Satish, if I as a person came in front of you, Satish, you are a lawyer. I said, I believe in this. You said, what is belief? Give me proof. What is the proof, sir? What is the proof that I believe? Go on.
Sudha, please let me complete, because I am talking only from the purview of law. What has been made in the judgment, I am talking only from the purview of law. Please understand. The law, even the present judgment, even the law is very clear. Even a non-Hindu can enter, subject to condition. A restriction is that if you have a faith on Hinduism, on Hindu gods. So when you have a faith and belief on Hindu gods, then you are automatically become a Hindu. You please understand. Similarly, a person who wants to see that temple only as an architecture or maybe as a tourist, still you are also allowed, subject to a condition that you cannot cross beyond a border, but giving an undertaking that I will not cross the border.
What is this undertaking? I don't understand. Your undertaking will be very different from Swami's undertaking here. You know, in Hinduism also, you are not strict enough. Always something is found that this is not right. Let me go to the other guest, and I am coming back to Rangarajan Narasimhan here, who was also not agreeing with Satish Kumar, the advocate of Madras High Court. Do we have Muralidharan? Muralidharan, tell me something that it all, look at this. You know, you're absolutely right. It's opened the Pandora's box. But I quite agree with Satish that this entire, and you of course spoke about economics, right, which is very important. I think you're absolutely right that what are they going to do about people who even, you know, play the musical instruments. I mean, they enter the sanctum sanctorum. I've seen them very devoted and absolutely devoted to the Lord. Now, this undertaking that you are a devout Hindu, how do you ascertain that, Muralidharan? Don't you think that it seems like, I mean, with due respect to the Honorable Court, it seems like it is, you know, it is so esoteric. What is belief? It's like saying, what is love? Unmute, sir.
Sorry, Sudha. If the number of people who are going to come are just one or two, you can do all this, and somebody can say, yes, I believe, and if he, walks into the temple, you can't do anything. But most of these temples, I mean, it's all crowded. It's heavily crowded, and this is not going to work. I mean, you can just keep people happy by keeping a board saying that, yes, you cannot cross this border, cross that border. But as I said, Dravidians will always come back and say, will you, I am a Hindu. Okay, yes, I am a Hindu. But will you going to allow me into the Garbhagriha now? That's going to be then a question. Why is that only the Archakas
right.
go inside? Why can't I go inside?
Exactly.
Now, this is going to be the biggest
it is going to be unnecessary. It's going to become political slugfest. It just finished in the north and it's starting in the north again. I'm not talking about the merits of the case. I am completely run out of time. Suresh, tell me something. Don't you think this will get into more than faith, religion, belief and all that? It will get into what is called sheer politics, and it will be a slugfest between us and them, as in the Dravidians and the others.
Yeah, I think that is going to be, because see, at the end of the day, one got to remember the fact that, in temples in Kerala, again, I'm just going back to that. When you men enter the temples of Kerala, every other temple, including Guruvayur, which one of the previous speakers had mentioned, I think Swami has mentioned, that you need to remove your upper torso clothes and you need to wear a mukta. That's de facto. It goes without saying. But the point is simple. Point is, for example, in Kerala, until about 20, 30 years ago, there was no sari. There was nobody allowed without wearing a sari. Lady not wearing a sari was not allowed into the temple. But over a period of time, salwar kameez, or what they call chudidar in Kerala, became very popular among young women. And as a result, the temple authorities had to change the rules. They said, okay, fine, now we are allowed. Of course, they don't allow skirts or shorts or anything of that sort. But they allowed that. So I think over a period of time, the problem is very simple, as was mentioned. When there are huge crowds, how do you manage? How many people, for example, I'll tell you that many of the videographers who enter temples in Kerala, we don't know which religion they belong to for a wedding. They come with the bride and the groom and they enter and they go around and take all the pictures. Unless he's a known person, I mean, if you know that he's a Christian, then somebody can object, but who will object?
Exactly.
Yeshudas gets banned outside.
And somewhere it also smacks of being an exclusivist in a state which allows you to profess not only your own religion but also pay pay a visit to other religious shrines, and that's where is the problem. And you're speaking about chudidar, the last line, let me tell you, I really like the hypocrisy in Tamil Nadu. They will go on and on about Hindi Urige, that is, we don't need Hindi, and they are the first ones to embrace chudidar and salwar kameez, because like you said, young women love the comfort of it and they go to temples. No more do you see half saris, you see only and only chudidars and salwar kameez. On that note, with apologies to all my guests, I completely ran out of time. Mr. Rangarajan Narasimhan, what a pleasure it was to speak with you. Satish Kumar, as always, thank you very much. Suresh, thank you very, very much. Muralidharan, thanks a lot. And let's move on to the other story. Seems like it's the season of temples. Of course, the beautiful Ram Mandir in Ayodhya, which was actually beautiful and kind of victory for a lot of people. But then the other case, what exactly is that? Coming up in a moment. And the South Indian is back here. I told you it's a season of temples, and here we are with this temple. Guess what? In a very major development, Hindu priest allowed to pray inside Gyanvapi. Like I said, it's a very big development. The Varanasi district court has allowed the family of a Hindu priest to conduct puja in the Vyas Ji Ka Tehkhana area of the disputed side's premises. The Vyas family had been conducting puja in the Tehkhana since 1551. But then the puja was stopped in 1993. It was the Mulayam Singh government which had banned the puja in the Vyas Ji Tehkhana by a verbal order, not even by a written order, by a verbal order, and then sealed and barricaded the premises. Somnath Vyas, the patriarch of the Vyas family, lodged a petition in the court asking for his property and, more importantly, his rights at the Tehkhana. District Court Judge Dr. Ajay Krishna Vishwesh in his judgment said that the barricading surrounding the Tehkhana be removed and the puja be conducted by priests from the Vishwanath temple. Listen in to some of the voices.
आज वो पूरा हो गया है और जिला प्रशासन वहाँ जल्द से जल्द पूजा पाठ शुरू करेगा।
7 दिन के बाद सभी भक्त वहाँ जा पाएंगे कि सिर्फ कुछ
7 दिन के अंदर जिला प्रशासन को दिया है। अब जैसे जिला प्रशासन वहाँ पे अरेंजमेंट करेगा वहाँ तुरंत पूजा पाठ शुरू हो जाएगा।
जो भी काशी विश्वनाथ मंदिर जाएगा वो तहखाने में पूजा करने जरूर जाएगा।
जी बिल्कुल बिल्कुल जाएगा। देखिए काशी विश्वनाथ ट्रस्ट को भगवान की कैसे पूजा पाठ हो इसके लिए कोई आदेश की जरूरत नहीं होती है, उनको पता हो
कौन से भगवान की पूजा पाठ हो, क्या विधि हो।
देखिए वहाँ पे वही मैं बता रहा हूँ उसकी निटी गिटीज में वो काशी विश्वनाथ ट्रस्ट डिसाइड करेगा। हमारा जो लीगल काम था वो लीगल काम हमने पूरा किया है। अब काशी विश्वनाथ ट्रस्ट के ऊपर है कि उसकी पूजा पाठ स्टार्ट।
तो 7 दिन के अंदर ये पूजा शुरू हो जाएगी।
7 दिन के अंदर पूजा पाठ
ये कोर्ट ने तय कर दिया कि 7 दिन के अंदर।
जी कोर्ट ने अपने आदेश में लिखा।
तत्कालिक सरकार ने उसको कोर्ट ने मांग थी कि उसको जो है तहखाने में पुनः पूजा पाठ करवाया जाए। उनके जो वंशज जो हैं शैलेंद्र कुमार व्यास की तरफ से हम लोगों ने दाखिल किया था, जिसपे कोर्ट ने सुनवाई के बाद रिसीवर 17 दिसंबर को रिसीवर नियुक्त कर दिया था जिलाधिकारी को, और आज जो है पूजा पाठ का अधिकार जो है आज दे दिया गया कि वहाँ जितने भी हिंदू धार्मिक क्रियाकलाप हैं, पूजा पाठ है, उसको पुनः बहाल किया जाए और 1 सप्ताह के अंदर जिलाधिकारी जो रिसीवर हैं उनको कंप्लाइन करने का माननीय कोर्ट ने आदेश कर दिया है।
You all know that as far as the Gyanvapi Masjid and Kashi Vishwanath case is concerned, there is a long way to go till the final judgment will be delivered by the honorable courts. As far as today's judgment is concerned, the Muslim side will definitely go to the higher courts against this judgment, and we are confident that justice will be done with the Muslims also. As far as the Babri Masjid issue is concerned, it was altogether a different issue as compared to the Kashi Vishwanath and Gyanvapi Masjid case. So we think that we all have to follow the path of the judicial process, and we will fight this case only and only in the honorable courts. And as far as our point of view is concerned, we are of the view that this masjid was built 100 years back, so we have full right to offer namaz there.
And before the South Indian says Vanakkam to you, goodbye to you, this is a documentary you should not miss. Remember November of 2023 when 41 workers were trapped under a tunnel because a part of it had collapsed. It took 17 days. It took the grit, the hope, the determination and the belief of people to finally rescue them. That's coming up in a moment. And tomorrow, for all the budget updates, the stories and every aspect of it, do not miss News 9 live starting from 9 a.m. in the morning. And with that, the South Indian says Vanakkam, Namaskaram, stay well.
The first worker is out of the tunnel. That is such a relief.
first of its kind when the government of India has mobilized so many resources from all angles.
Classic example of an all-of-government approach.
There is a risk of being killed for everyone who's in there, and then we sign the book. That's like the death log.
कि गब्बर सिंह नेगी किसी संकट के समय में भी अपनी पूरी टीम को संभाला।
और ये दोस्तों का भी बहुत बहुत मैं शुक्रिया अदा करना चाहता हूँ सर, और हमारी हर बात सुनी है, जैसे हमने कहा उन्होंने सुना सर, और हमारे बताए हुए रास्ते में चले सर, और उन्होंने हौसला नहीं छोड़ा।
November 12, 2023. It is Diwali, but it is work as usual at the Silkyara tunnel in Uttarakhand. At around 5:30 am, a part of tunnel collapses. The debris that falls from the mountain traps 41 workers working inside the tunnel.
हम लोग आगे में थे, आगे में काम चल रहा था, तो ये जो है 2 किलोमीटर पीछे जो है गिर गया है, और किसी ने मेरे को मैसेज दिया कि सर पीछे गिर गया है, तो आप थोड़ा देखिए इसको, रास्ता खोलिए। तो मेरे को लगा शायद हल्का फुल्का गिरा होगा, तो हम इसको खोल देंगे जाके। वहाँ पे देखा तो जब तक हम आए तब तक पूरा ही बंद हो चुका था रास्ता, और हमारा कम्युनिकेशन पूरा खत्म हो गया, बाहर से संपर्क ही खत्म हो गया पूरी दुनिया से।
The Silkyara-Barkot tunnel is 4.5 kilometers long. The tunnel roof collapsed between 200 to 260 meters from the Silkyara end of the tunnel. Beyond that, 41 workers were trapped in the 2 kilometers long stretch of the tunnel. After this, there was around 500 meters thick wall of incomplete tunnel that was blocking workers from the Barkot side. The rocks that fell from the mountain blocked 60 meters of the tunnel, which led to an unprecedented, humongous rescue operation.
The debris comprised of concrete, cement, the mesh of iron and steel, and many iron rods, which are all there primarily to reinforce the roof of the tunnel.
The first decision that the authorities had to make was which way to approach the tunnel from. The options were digging horizontally from the Silkyara portal for around 60 meters, or drilling vertically for around 80 to 85 meters, or digging horizontally from the Barkot portion for 400 to 500 meters and digging horizontally for around 180 meters through the right wall of the tunnel.
So we decided that we should go on the horizontal drilling method. First, we started to remove the muck on 12th night itself, and by that time there was no communication from the workers.
Two divine interventions took place, almost. Number one was that the power line did not snap. And the second thing was that a 4-inch compressor pipe, which was used to drive compressed air to run the machinery inside, that also did not collapse, did not break. And from that we could discern that the workers were alive inside. Through this we could provide them with sustenance, basic puffed rice, chana, little bit of gur and things like that were sent inside.
Chana.
One was always afraid that if there is a blockage, by sending all this, if there is a blockage, then the only lifeline we have got to the workers would get cut.
So when we started horizontal machine digging, first we have taken a help of Jal Vikas Nigam from the state government. Within 1.5 days we realized the progress was very slow. So we decided to get the state-of-art latest auger machine, which was lying in Delhi. Airlifted by Indian Air Force C-17 aircraft, and all the machineries were airlifted and dropped at nearby airport called Chinyaliso. From there, we have brought these machines, and then we started the proper this thing. And that auger machine, it can drill up to 5 meters an hour. That was an ideal one.
So the whole concept was how to bore a smaller hole through this with the help of an American auger machine